What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Bronx Muchachos podcast. I am your host, David. For the rest of the year, Mark had to have a medical procedure done, so he'll be out for the remainder of the month. So that will bring us to January. So you're stuck with me in the hot seat, and we'll have some people filling in along the way to include my sidekick here, Jeremy. If you're watching us on YouTube or any other of the platforms we're streaming on tonight, do us a favor. Give us a like and subscribe on YouTube. Give us a follow on Instagram and X or Twitter for those of you still playing that home game, which is quite all right because I call it the same thing. But yeah, welcome in, everybody. Jay, how we doing?
What's going on, man? Happy to be here.
Yeah, of course. Of course. So the offseason continues, and unfortunately, we are not making any noise at all whatsoever. Why? I don't understand. Since the winter meetings, we claimed the Rule 5 draftee for the first time in 14 years. We have also signed Matt Turner, who's a left-handed pitcher, to a minor league deal. And today signed Yosin Pena, who is described as a Cuban power hitter with 17 home runs last year. Don't know how that quite qualifies as a power hitter, but I guess when you hit more than 10 home runs, that's considered power, supposedly. Signed Ahmed Rosario earlier in the week to a 1-year, $2.5 million contract to be a thorn in Aroldis Chapman's side. Gives us another right-handed bat since we're too left-handed heavy. But any event, thoughts on this? Because I can't wrap my head around it. We're seeing Pete Alonso go to the Orioles, Schwarber go back to the Phillies. You see Adolis Garcia go to the Phillies again today. The Royals re-sign Malik Garcia. Angel Zerpa gets traded to Milwaukee, and we're just sitting around twiddling our thumbs watching paint dry for some reason. Along with Mike King now being rumored to be getting a contract in the area of $80 million for 4 years. And according to Ken Rosenthal, it appears the Yankees will get outbid by either the Red Sox or the Orioles, which would be heartbreaking. So what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy to see just exactly how inactive the Yankees have been this offseason. And we know that, Cash likes to try and present himself like the smartest guy in the room and try to make these, kind of seemingly nothing deals, and then they turn out to be something. Catching lightning in a bottle seems to be the flavor of the month for him every single month. But when you look at what the rest of the division is doing, the Yankees are the only ones not having made a significant addition to their major league roster, right? You have the Rays that went out and gave a big money contract for them to Cedric Mullins. They went out and got Steven Matz. And you have, like you said, the Orioles went out and got Pete Alonso. They got Ryan Helsley. I mean, they've been very active in terms of that. They traded for Taylor Ward. So between Taylor Ward and Pete Alonso, they added 70 home runs to their roster for this year. Boston's been active, going out there and making the deals for Sonny Gray, for Johan Oviedo, and then obviously the Blue Jays jumped out ahead, got Dylan Cease, They're rumored to be
Trevor Rogers or Taylor Rogers. One of the Rogerses. There's too many of them in this league. It's hard to keep track of who's who because they keep switching teams all the time.
Yeah. And then, and they're heavily rumored to be the favorite landing destination for Kyle Tucker. As you said, Mike King is rumored to be going to either the Orioles or the Red Sox. And yet the Yankees continue to just kind of sit on their hands. And it just leaves the question, what really is the thought process in that front office right now? And obviously, sometimes you can see the tea leaves with the way that this organization tries to do things. Obviously, they're very much big into not overplaying their hand. But by all the reports, all the accounts, you have no interest in the Japanese players. That was reported a week or two ago. And now you're being reported to be outbid by your division rivals for the guy that you brought up in this league, the guy that you converted to a starter. And right now you have a need in the starting rotation with the fact that Garrett Cole's not going to be ready to start the year. Carlos Rodon's not going to be ready to start the year. So you're going in to this.
Clark Schmidt.
Yeah, Clark Schmidt. I completely put him out of my mind because he's not going to be ready for a while. But the other two, you're expecting to get back sometime by May, right? And so you're still having to piecemeal it together, and you bring back Ryan Yarbrough. Cool. That lasted all of what? Maybe 2.5 decent starts.
He was injured for 2.5 months too.
Right. So. And then got injured. And then when he came back, he really wasn't, producing at the same level. This is a solid swing guy for when you have to have those kind of bulk innings eaten up. But this isn't a guy that you have to rely on as your number 3 starter right now. That's where we are at. And the Yankees have made no significant moves. Obviously coming into this show tonight, we were talking about Mike King versus, Tatsuya Imai. And realistically, the Yankees need both of them, not just to pit one against the other, but we need both. Not to mention, rebolstering this lineup, and whether it's too lefty heavy. A few years ago, Brian Cashman thought he was the smartest guy in the room by making it too right-handed heavy with guys that went to the opposite field to play to the short right field porch. It's they can't seem to figure out that you need balance in this lineup. Balance from lefty righty, balance from power and contact guys, balance the slow, steady, base to base guys, station to station guys, as well as some speed caliber guys. So it's very frustrating to watch this team do nothing, and you see other teams around the league that are making significant improvements to their roster.
Yeah, so being from Rhode Island, and I have a love affinity for all, past and present Rhode Island baseball players, because let's be honest, the weather isn't exactly great where I grew up and, played Little League. It's really cold still in March and April, and it really doesn't start getting nice until around a week before Memorial Day weekend. So Mike, being from, the city in which I grew up in, Warwick, Rhode Island, went to the same high school as Rocco Baldelli and Jay Rainville. It would really hurt to see him go to Boston, but if it did end up happening, he still has a house in Rhode Island. His parents still live there. So, I mean, it would make sense because it's an hour drive up I-95 to Fenway Park. So, geographically for him, it would make sense, but I did not want to see him get traded in this Juan Soto deal. But unfortunately, to get something, you got to make it hurt a little bit. And, well, it did, because he went to San Diego for those, realistically, a year and a half. He was solid. Getting hurt last year definitely didn't help his cause, but I want him back more than anything. He was solid for us the entire, what seemed like 6 years he was here. And to see him go to a division rival would just really hurt. And, talking about the Yankees sitting on their hands, you still got Pete Fairbanks just sitting out there. Your bullpen was one of your biggest issues, and you got a legitimate setup guy or even a closer sitting there. I mean, you could realistically have 3 former closers in that bullpen paired with Doval, Bednar, and Fairbanks, which would make that. I want to see them get back to the 1996 model where that bullpen was was literally a 6-inning game. If you were the opposing team and you did not have a lead after 6 innings, you were screwed, because you were facing Mariano. You were facing, I don't think Nelson was there at the time, but Wetland, Rivera, Graham Lloyd, and whoever else. And it was good luck to you. And then you get to 98 through 2000 years, Stanton, Nelson, Rivera, Mendoza. Game over.
Yep.
Not necessarily in that order, but
but
that's who was there. And I want to see them balance the lineup. If you can't find lefty hitters, get some switch hitting guys in there, which you have in Cabrera and Dominguez. Figure that out. And you got to get some speed. You got to steal bases. The new rules favor base stealing way too much, and we just don't use it.
Yep.
And we haven't used it for a very long time, which just drives me up a wall. And I'm sorry, but re-signing Amed Rosario just doesn't do it for me. And, getting a Rule 5 draft pick and 2 minor league guys that you sign with an invite to spring training, that doesn't do it for me. Doesn't do it for the fan base either. Like, you're trying to give us a bag of what and tell us that it's gold inside of it. And we're not dumb. We see what's going on. And for the life of me, I just can't figure it out. And then you see Merrill Kelly go back to Arizona, 2 years, $40 million. It's getting late. I mean, we're almost into January, and it's not looking good at all.
Yeah, as Yogi used to say, it's getting late early.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think for me, the biggest thing is, like, obviously, we talked about it last week on the show, and we'll leave it linked down in the description for those that may not have caught it. But we talked about the fact that there sometimes feels like there's a Yankee tax, right? When it comes to these deals, right? Guys want to, teams that we try to trade with want more than what their eventual package that they get from somebody else is. And it seems ultimately, too, when it comes to the free agent side, that they want more coming to the Yankees, right? We're not the same place. And we've discussed this before. This doesn't feel like the destination that being a New York Yankee used to feel like, right? And I think that we have to, that's more than anything else is what this team needs to get back to. They need to get back to being that, evil empire, right? They have to get back to being the team that players want to play for. And when you're against them, you fear playing against them. And this team just doesn't have that aura anymore. And that, to me, is one of the biggest, setbacks for this team, is that they're not operating like the superpower that they have been in the past. And we see that now on the opposite coast with the Dodgers. The Dodgers are operating like the George Steinbrenner Yankees, going out and spending money. And to me, they're doing it even better. So it's like,
they're printing it.
Right, but follow that game plan, follow that blueprint. Clearly, it's working. It's not just about spending money, right? Because the Mets spend money, but it makes no sense either. The Yankees spend money on certain things and then don't on other things. And it just feels like they're not looking towards the here and now of ending this drought that we've been in when it comes to winning the World Series. And yeah, I get it. Especially if you're a fan of another club that hasn't been to the World Series. Like, if you're a Mariners fan, you don't want to hear us, sitting here crying, waxing poetic about the yesteryears, with the fact that you've never been there. Like, if you're a fan of the Guardians and you haven't won a World Series since 1948, which most people at this point in time have never seen happen, I get it. You're not going to feel the way that we feel about this team. We feel this drought the same way, even though it's not, right? And when you look at what this organization has done in the past to actually try and win, you have to go out there and give us that same effort. And now, most people are going to sit here and try and say that, Howe's cheap. I'm not going to say that Howe is cheap, right? Because we have a $300 million payroll. And yes, he's always crying about not needing to have a $300 million payroll. But this is the game, the way the game is played now, right? And you have to maximize those assets. And the Yankees, to me, are just not using their assets to the greatest ability.
Yeah, and I think it's a comment. Like, probably a lot of fans and a lot of followers and listeners to us don't realize this, but Major League Baseball players are considered subcontractors. They have to pay taxes in each state that they play in throughout the year. Not only that, their agents and other, normal life expenses that the rest of us have, although theirs are a little bit more exuberant than ours. We don't live in $2.5 million penthouses in the middle of New York City, but, when free agents try to get more out of the Yankees, it's not more money going into their pockets. It's the tax in New York. That's the biggest thing. That's why a lot of guys like going to Arizona, like going to Texas, like going to these places where either there's no state income tax or a very minimum state income tax. And I think that has a lot to do with it too. It's not like, oh, I'm X player, I deserve this amount of money. It's like, no, I need X amount of money to pay everything I need to pay and still have some left over for myself.
Yeah. And that's kind of going back to my point of follow the Dodgers blueprint.
Yeah.
The Dodgers are deferring all of this money. And yes, that will probably come back to bite them at some point. But
Well, not really. I mean, they've already made back all the money that they've already made back Shohei's contract and
sure, no,
then
absolutely.
some.
Like for absolutely, but Shohei to me is a unicorn, right? So he's a little bit different. But you have all the rest of these guys that are just like the guys that we have on our roster, but they're taking that deferred money because California's taxes are even higher than New York's. But they're smart about it, right? The Dodgers are like, all right, here's going to be your contract. We're going to defer this money, so you're not having to pay all this taxes now. You'll get this money on the back end. Why can't the Yankees follow that blueprint?
I don't understand why the other 29 teams in Major League Baseball aren't doing it, because there's a loophole. Like, exploit it. It's not illegal.
Yep.
It's in the CBA. It's not against any kind of rules, and they just don't do it for whatever reason. I mean, the Dodgers have Shohei's contract deferred, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Blake Snell, I believe, has a portion of his contract deferred. I mean, Mookie Betts is going to be making damn near $20 million a year when he's 53 years old and he's not even playing anymore.
Yep.
I mean, the Red Sox did it with Manny Ramirez. They're still paying him. The Cincinnati Reds did it with Ken Griffey Jr. They're still paying him. And the king of all deferments, Bobby Bonilla, still making $1.5 million. And somehow that got tweaked to where he's going to get paid another $1.5 million for, I think, 6 more years after the fact. So, I mean, it's not like this is something that's new. I mean, Roger Clemens, when he went down to Houston, he had a portion of that money deferred, although it was a 10-year personal services contract that was attached to his half a season, $22 million prorated contract back in 2005. But I mean, it can be done. I don't know why we're not doing it. I mean, it would make this a hell of a lot easier than trying to make sure we don't take a luxury tax hit, which we're already negative 40 million in the hole on that anyway. So yeah. I don't get it either. And the other thing I don't understand is, like, Brian Cashman came out and said, "Oh, we're going to be heavy in the international market." And like, you got Imai basically throwing himself at you, say that he wants to go beat the Dodgers.
Yep.
And you're just not doing anything. I don't get it. I wish we had some kind of inside intel that would make this all make sense. And it's just not making sense.
Yeah. Literally none of it is, when you try and pass the smell test, right, if you will, they're just not doing anything to really stand out as far as actually trying to do something to compete this year, right? And we talked about it last week, that it's almost like they have changed the goalpost. They have changed what the actual goal for this organization is, and they keep spouting to us the same goal that we grew up having of championship or bust. But that's not actually the goal based on the way that they've been operating and acting for the last 10 plus years.
You've been to the World Series twice in 16 years. Like, whatever you're doing just ain't working. So figure it out. And yeah. So like, what do you think happens? Say we don't do anything, right? We don't sign Bellinger, King. We do nothing else. What do you think the organization's talking point is going to be when we hit May and we're a 4th place team, or come the All-Star break and be like, well, we tried and players got to go out there and perform and rah, 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 blah, blah, blah. Like,
yeah.
What do you think is going to happen?
That's going to be the talking point. So the talking point for the offseason, if the Yankees don't do anything, is going to be about the cost, right? So the cost of the prospects were too high. The cost of the contracts were too high. That, the free agents were, just too outside of that price range, too outside of, the other team overpaid or whatever. Like, that'll be the narrative for the offseason if they don't do anything. Then if we get to the season and we're a 4th or 5th place team, because let me tell you, the AL East is going to be an absolute beast this year again. This is going to be, in my opinion, again, the toughest division in baseball.
And the rates are stacking up too.
Exactly. Like, not the Yankees are the least ones that they're having done anything in this offseason. And the Yankees could find themselves sitting in 5th place in this division, right? I genuinely, and this might sound like a hot take, I could see all 5 teams in the AL East having an over 500 record this year.
Like, without a doubt.
And I can see the Yankees, as currently constructed, falling to 4th or 5th place easily. Because you would need everything to go right. With the way this team is constructed right now, everything would have to go 1,000% perfect for this team to put themselves in a position to be at the same level that they got to last year, to tie for the best record in the AL, right? That team is not this team. They're not built the same way. And it's like, yeah, you got a lot of the same pieces back, but you're not going to run it back with the same team because there's no way Grisham's going to have a year like he had last year. You're already not having Bellinger. And then you are now also down Carlos Rodon to start the year. You, for all the ups and downs that we had and headaches that we had with Devin Williams, at some point he figured it out and was able to lock things down as a setup guy. So it's like you're losing out on a ton of opportunity to, run it back with the same guys, which was the kind of the ongoing narrative, but you're not the same team. And each year, even if you had all 26 guys that were there to close out the postseason to start this year, it's still not the same team.
I mean,
so you have to bolster it. You have to build it up.
I mean, yeah, Devin Williams figured it out, but he figured it out at too late of a point. I mean, how many more like the games that he blew, right?
Yep.
He had what, 14 blown saves or something like that? You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was double digits or close to it.
I'll take a look and see.
But in any event, like the games that he like single-handedly blew, like how many of those games do you win if he doesn't pitch? And like not only that, if Anthony Volpe didn't go down the spiral that he went down, how many of those games do they win if he doesn't play in them, hurt? So I mean, there are a lot of variables that could push it one way or another, but I don't think you're going to be. I mean, Cody Bellinger was a big part of the reason why we had one of the top records in the American League. And if you don't bring him back and Grisham doesn't somewhat repeat what he did last year, you're in for a world of hurt because now you're relying on an aging Giancarlo Stanton and an aging Aaron Judge to single-handedly carry this team offensively for the both of them. And if you're not scoring, say if they don't do anything more with the starting rotation of the bullpen, you're going to have to go out there and score 8 to 9 runs a game just to have a fighting chance because you don't know how many runs the starting pitcher is going to give up or the bullpen at that point. So that's where it gets really hairy.
No, I completely agree. Yeah, I mean, I think when you look at what this team is on paper right now, there's still a lot of weaknesses and a lot of holes. And, and we'll kind of wrap things up with this. But one of the things that got reported is about making more holes to this team with the potential trading of Jazz Chisholm Jr.
Yeah, I don't agree with this at all. You gave up Agustin Ramirez, who is one of your best catching prospects. And, they gave up Jared Cerna too, who, was kind of on the fence of, being something. But, I got to see both of them play up close for the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp, the Marlins AAA team, which is right near where I live in Florida. And Agustin Ramirez is a beast. Like he was I saw him play a couple of games in Jacksonville and they called him directly to Miami. It was like instantly. So just to turn around and trade Jazz for what? I mean, he's a free agent at the end of the year. He's making minimal money by comparison to the rest of this roster. He's not impacting you financially. He's, a circus act with the glove. I mean, the plays I see him make is damn near close to what Ozzie Smith used to do, minus the backflips. But he's a magician with the glove at second base. And I don't, unless you have a legitimate, viable option to replace him with that's younger or better, trading him would be an absolute disaster unless you're getting Ketel Marte, who we talked about, a couple of shows ago. Switch hitter, power, average, speed, the whole nine. But unless you're guaranteeing to replace him with somebody like that, like trading him is really bad idea because I don't think Caballero or Cabrera could carry you the whole year solidly at second base.
Yep.
Even though I love both of them, but they're super utility platoon players and can play various positions in the infield and the outfield and give guys days off when they need it. So that's where their value is.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Which is a bad idea.
Yep, I completely agree. So just kind of a little bit of a teaser here. So I have a video coming out on the channel, and it's going to be about exactly that. The pros and cons of whether or not to trade Jazz Chisholm Jr. And when, not to give too much of a spoiler, but when you think about what the Yankees would be without Jazz, as you said, there's a glaring hole already on this team on the other side of second base and shortstop, right? Even when Volpe comes back, that's still a hole in the lineup until he proves otherwise. So it's like now you're going to take away a guy who was a valuable asset offensively for you, not to mention what he can do for the defense, not to mention what he can do, for the team as a whole in terms of morale and stuff like that. So you're now really limiting yourself in terms of all the different positions you now have to fill, right? So now you think about the fact that there's no Bellinger as currently constructed. You now have obviously Jason Dominguez has the leg up as the left fielder over Spencer Jones, but now you have essentially two rookie young players that are going to be battling for that spot. Neither one of them has really proven themselves. Spencer Jones obviously hasn't had any shot in the majors yet, but has a absolutely crazy strikeout percentage. So it's like you're only going to assume that that's going to go up in the major leagues, not down.
It's pushing 30% too. I saw him playing the AAA championship game against the Shrimp, man, and his strikeouts were horrible. I mean, he wasn't even close to putting bat on ball. It was sad. I'm like, okay, well, this is concerning. Like, you go from spring training where he's mashing 430-foot bombs to not even be able to, make contact and foul a ball off, damn near. So, yeah, it's not looking pretty. But we got a comment in the chat here on YouTube. So, Daddy Hackspod, thanks for checking in. He says there's a lot of wasted money. $16 million for a Ryan McMahon, who's a platoon third baseman who can't hit his way too much, and you had that Peraza, who's younger and more athletic. I'm going to push back on that a little bit because I feel like Oswald Peraza gets a lot of hate for reasons outside of his control, and people can agree with this or not. I, don't care. Oswald Peraza got screwed over by this organization. He was supposed to be the heir to the shortstop position, and they decided to give what I call the keys to the Ferrari to Anthony Volpe because he hit 377 in about 10 spring training games that year. When Peraza came up, I believe it was before the postseason, his defensive ability at shortstop was leaps and bounds above Volpe, in my opinion. He could hit for power, hit for average, and they just let him rot away. They kept up-downing him, bench, AAA, up for a game, down, back to AAA for a game. And then you call it, he was out of options, and you add him to the major league roster to have him ride the bench and like complain that he's only batting 182. It's like, well, when you only play like 5 times a month, that's going to happen. And then for whatever reason, like he's out of options and you trade him to the Angels for a box of pine tar. So with the whole Peraza thing, just, you had a legitimate second baseman in him. And you traded him. You could have, yes, getting Jazz was great. I wanted to see him come here after, seeing him play up close in Miami a couple of times. But if you wanted to see Peraza flourish, you could have slotted him at second base. They had both Volpe and Peraza playing. They had Volpe playing short and Peraza playing short second base in spring training. So they already had that chemistry. Daddy Hackspot, I wasn't saying that was a shot at Peraza at all. I'm just speaking overall as regard to the entire fan base and what the perception of him was. He goes, my point was, you have the same player. One guy makes $16 million, the other guy makes $1 million, and choose the $16 million option. Dumb. I get it. And this is the other thing about the Yankees that drives me nuts. They go and get guys that are solid defensively but can't hit. It's like, okay, you can. Great. I'm all about run prevention. We saw the Mets last year, and that was their biggest Achilles heel and part of the reason why they didn't make the playoffs. But you need to have a balance of defensive ability with offensive ability. Like, you can't just get a guy for his glove and then go, oh, well, he'll figure it out offensively. Ryan McMahon was batting .216 at the end of the year with the Yankees. That's not going to get the job done. You need to score runs and prevent runs from scoring to win baseball games. That's how science works, at least in this sport anyway. But what do I know? Because RBI is not a true measure of offensive ability or batting average, for that matter, according to some people. But
yeah, I mean, it goes back to a point I made earlier about balance, right? And this team is and has been operating without balance. You know, like I said, a few years ago when this team was super right-handed heavy, now it's super left-handed heavy. There's all power, no contact, no speed. And it's like you have guys who are capable of that, right? Volpe can steal bases. Jazz stole over 30 bases. You got Caballero, who led the league. Now, obviously, most of those came with Tampa, but he was still in bases when he got here. And it's like you have certain guys. Obviously, J-Dom has incredible speed, but it's like you're not maximizing and utilizing their skill sets, right? And if you really want to put this team into a position to be successful, you have to put guys in positions to be successful. And if you keep trying to turn everybody into a 20 home run, 30 home run guy, it's not going to happen. Everybody is not Aaron Judge. Volpe needs to cut his swing. And realistically, if Volpe wants to be successful on this team, he needs to be the guy that he has been growing up as his role model in Derek Jeter. If you want to be successful, be Jeter. Jeter went the other way. He was never looking to hit home runs. Never in his life has Derek Jeter ever said he went up there to try and look for home runs. He went to look to hit the other ball the other way, let it get deep, let it travel, and just put the ball in play. And that's the kind of player that this team needs.
It's the same thing I preach to my 5-year-old son who's playing T-ball. Like, we'll be in the batting cage, hitting off the tee, or I'll pitch on him. He's like, Dad, would that have been a home run? I'm like, you need to stop worrying about where the ball's going to go. I'm like, the ball's going to go wherever the ball's going to go. Just worry about putting the bat on the ball and just getting contact on the ball and putting it in play, and let whatever's going to happen just happen. Like, you're in the case of Jeter, he hit over 20 home runs once in his career when he hit 24 in 1998. That was it. He was an average 10 to 15 home run a year guy, but hit over 320, during the regular season. But he was a monster in the playoffs with home runs. So
it was about the right moments, but again, he still wasn't looking to hit home runs.
No. And like, I'll even take it back a little bit further with the whole base stealing thing. Clint Frazier, when he was here, that guy was a speed demon on the base paths, and they didn't utilize him. Didi Gregorius, same thing. Would barely let him steal bags. There's just been so many speed demons. I mean, Brett Gardner stole bases at a pretty high amount, but I mean, I think that was really the last time we had a legitimate base stealer.
Yeah, but even with Gardy, you had to think about it. How long did it take for him to be able to get that constant green light? And that's the problem with this organization, is that we lose out on the different skill sets and assets that these guys have. So
I agree. Well, so a little bit of a scheduling thing. I know we're gonna put a banner up on social media to give you guys a schedule of what's going on going forward, but I unfortunately have to work Thursday, so we'll be back again on Monday. So you're getting 2 Mondays in a row with us, and then once we get out of the wackiness of all the holidays falling on a Thursday, we'll be back to Thursday, Monday, every other week schedule. I know it sounds confusing, but we'll get it all in black and white and post it everywhere. Again, if you're watching us on YouTube, do us a favor, hit the like, hit that subscribe, ring the bell for post notifications. Check out the show notes. It's got a link to AGS grading. If you're into grading sports cards or trading card game cards, they're probably the best way to go right now, considering Beckett just got bought by PSA today. So it's a hard times right now in the hobby industry as far as that goes. And of course, we got our merch store powered by Printify. Me and Jay and a couple of others have put together some really awesome merch. So, Christmas is around the corner. Hanukkah's going on right now. So if you need a gift for your loved one, hit up our merch store. Got some good stuff. So we will see you all next Monday, 8 o'clock. Have a good one, everybody. Have a good week.